In this episode of the HX 1 tonner build, just going to continue on from where we left off on the last episode, and I want to get all this chassis all smoothed off and get it sprayed in the black and then all ready for final assembly on the back end here. Now, just to recap on the last episode, we got the drop tank installed. I put some gussets in this 4-link bar just to get a bit more strength in that 4-link cross member. Got the tail lights, I got them corners all cut off. So yeah, she's all looking pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna get straight into it. I'll start by removing all this stuff off, and then yeah, we'll start by using some filler on the back end. I got a bit carried away here and I've just been smashing out a heap of work on the chassis. Just caught up in the moment, I guess, and just haven't really filmed a whole lot. So I thought I'd better get my life sorted and actually do some filming so I can put out an episode. But as you can see, I've just gone over the whole chassis in the epoxy. But before I sprayed the epoxy, I just used the filler and just went over the whole chassis with some filler. Then just rubbed it back with some 80 grit. And then sprayed 2 coats of epoxy over the whole lot. And it's now just pretty much at the point of rubbing it back. And I've just been using 320 grit sandpaper, just rubbing that back. So I've just been using this 3M stuff. So that's really good stuff, that 3M on the roll. And it's got like the sticky back on the backside. But yeah, just been using a little bit more filler as well, just to sort of refine it a little bit more. But yeah, it's not too far off from being ready to spray the black. I've just got a little bit more to block back and get all smooth, but it is looking pretty good, I reckon. It's definitely been a lot more work than what I thought, but I think it will look quite good once the tray is in the air, once it's all sprayed in the black. You can kind of see over this section, I haven't really spent too much time there. There's a battery box that sits roughly there forwards. So I've just been mainly spending all the time from there backwards, because you're not going to see that once the battery box is in there. But yeah, I'm just going to continue on getting this all prepped, ready for the KBS black. Okay, my gimbal's gone flat, so it might be a little bit shakier than normal, but she's all prepped, ready to go. I've gone over it all with 320 grit sandpaper and some Scotch-Brite as well. And just in these sections here, I've just put a little bit of seam sealer in there just to tidy that up a little bit. So yeah, she's all pretty much ready to start spraying the black. So I'll be using the KBS Rust Seal. I've used this stuff in the past, and it's a pretty good product. I've painted the chassis previously with this, and I sprayed it on. You can brush it on, but it's just a better finish if you do spray it on. Now, before I paint, I've just gone over it with the deoxit. So any exposed areas that I've rubbed through to metal, I've just gone over them little areas just with some deoxit. So that just treats the metal before you paint it. And I'll go over with some wax and grease remover, of course, and then start spraying the Rust Seal. Probably give it like 2 coats, and then I'll give it a final coat with the black top. So this stuff is like a UV protection. So apparently this can fade if you have the sunshine on it. So any UV fades it. So this is just like a product that protects it from fading. I was just gonna use the Rust Seal, but I thought, well, if I'm out at shows and stuff and I have the tray up, I just don't want any sort of sun fading any of the chassis. And then also at the back, this tray doesn't come out very far, so the sun can shine on the back here. So I might as well just spray the black top, and I know it's going to be fine. Okay, that is the first coat applied, and it's come out pretty good actually, considering it's the first coat. It's nice and flat, and it looks nice and smooth actually. I'm pretty happy with that finish, but there is a bit of a problem with it. Now it's probably a little bit hard to see in the camera, but there's all these like little fish eyes. It's a bit hard to get it to focus, but there's a little fish eyes, like one there, one there, one there. And there's just all these little fish eyes throughout it. There's a couple more there, some more there. And yeah, I don't really know how that's happened. It might just be a little bit of residue left behind. I gave it a good wax and grease, but whether there was something on the Scotch-Brite when I went over it or whatever, I'm not really too sure how that's really happened. But really the only way to fix that is probably just to rub it back. I think I'll just let that sit for a week and dry, rub it back, give it another good wax and grease, make sure I'm using gloves and using new Scotch-Brite and all that sort of stuff, and just, yeah, try and, yeah, get rid of them little fish eyes, which is pretty annoying. But for the most part, it does look really good, nice and smooth. Like, I'm really liking how all this transitions and nice and smooth into the chassis. You know, all this in there is looking really good. So yeah, once again, it's a bit annoying, but it's not going to be a whole lot of work to really fix that properly, and it's probably going to come out a little bit better once I apply the second and third coat, once I rub that back. So okay, so it's been about a week since I sprayed it, so it's had a good week to dry. So I'm now going to start rubbing it back and getting them little fish eyes out. So where the little fish eyes are, it's kind of got like a high spot. So I'll get all that nice and flat and rub out all the fish eyes. Just going to use a 400 grit sandpaper just on the orbital, anywhere I can reach. And then anywhere that I can't reach of the orbital, I'll just use a grey Scotchy. So yeah, start going over that. I don't think it's going to take too much time. I've already sort of started going over, yeah, some of these areas here, just with a Scotchy to see how it was going to scuff up. So yeah, it should be relatively quick to rub all that back. Now, during the last week, I've been doing a bit of research on what causes these fish eyes, and it is a little bit weird how it's just popped up randomly. I've never had this issue before. So I don't think it's leftover residue on the actual chassis. I did give it a good going over with wax and grease. I gave it a good clean. So I do find it a little bit weird that it's, yeah, all over the chassis. But yeah, I'm not gonna rule that out. I'll give it a good wax and grease once it's all rubbed back. I'll probably do it a couple of times. But another potential cause is on the compressor. It's obviously got oil, so if that oil gets into your air system, then yeah, that oil is gonna, yeah, mix in with your paint and then, yeah, spray onto what you're painting. So yeah, it could be oil in the system. Now, to rule that out, I have installed this filter system here. I've been meaning to get one of these for a while, so before I spray this second coat, I thought I'd add this in. So it's just got your filter / regulator here, then you got a secondary filter, and then this one is like your absorber. It's got these little absorbent balls in there, so yeah, that absorbs any oil. So that one there is the last resort. So I've basically got this dryer, so it comes out of compressor into the dryer, and then this separates the water, and then you can drain it with these ball valves. So yeah, it catches the water down the bottom here as it cools down through the tubes, and then yeah, into this filter, and then into this one, and then yeah, last resort. So hopefully that's going to eliminate any moisture or oil from the air system. Now, if anyone does want to see how I made this, I did make an episode on how I made it, and I'll put a link up in the corner here. So yeah, check out that video. So yeah, hopefully by the time I rub this back, give it a good wax and grease, I've eliminated any oil that's going to get into the system. So yeah, hopefully this second coat should be all good. Okay, all ready to spray the second coat, and hopefully I get no fish eyes this time. I've given the compressor a good drain, got all the moisture out of it. Obviously got that the new filter system on there. I've also got some new rags, and I've given it a good wax and grease a couple of times now and just let it dry. And I've also got a new tin of rust seal just to make sure. I just want to rule out any possibility of getting any fish eyes. So yeah, hopefully this time I won't have any issues. Okay, so I ended up giving it a couple of coats of the rust seal and then one coat of the black top just for the UV protection on that final coat. Now there's no fish eyes in it this time, which is good, but unfortunately the finish on it isn't as good as the first coat that I applied. It is a little bit kind of peely. It doesn't have that glassy finish to it like that first coat, unfortunately. I don't know whether you can kind of see that in the camera or not. I did give it a wash, so you can see a heap of watermarks. I didn't chamois it off. So it's got a heap of watermarks and stuff, so just disregard them. But yeah, you can probably see just that peely look to it, which is pretty annoying because yeah, after seeing it with that glassy finish and then knowing what it could have looked like, and then yeah, I've got this finish, it's a little bit annoying. But I did sit on it for like a week or two. I just left it all masked up and I was thinking about rubbing it back and spraying again, but I just decided to move on with it. I'm hoping that potentially I can rub it and give it a buff and get that peel out. I just don't know if you can rub and buff the KBS or whether I just accept it and move on, I guess. At the end of the day, I just got to remember it is a chassis. Definitely looks a hell of a lot better than, than what it looked like before. So it does still look good. And another thing that's pissed me off, I got a run just here. You can see a run there. So yeah, I'm hoping that'll buff out that run. That's really the only major concern that I have. The orange peel I can kind of live with. At the end of the day, it is a chassis. Once it's all together, you hardly really notice it anyway. So yeah, anyway, I'm glad to get that done. Get it all back together. I need to start moving on back onto the cabin and get this ready to respray again. So it's going to get resprayed in April, long weekend. So yeah, I've got a fair bit of stuff to do to get all this ready to respray. So anyway, that is the chassis all done. It definitely took a lot longer than what I thought it was going to, especially having to rub it all back again and respray it, get them fish eyes out. I'm glad to finally get all that chassis finished off and all put back together again. That's one job I can tick off the list and move forward now. I'm a little bit disappointed in the finish just with that orange peel and the runs. I think the runs is what sort of pissed me off the most. So I'm hoping I can buff them runs out. If anyone does have experience on the KBS product and whether you can buff out them runs, then let me know in the comment section. But overall, I am happy with how it's looking. It looks a hell of a lot better than what it was with all the chassis all smoothed off. So I can now move on to the cabin. Like I said, I'm gonna paint that in April, so I've got a heap of stuff that I need to organize before then. Just wanna give a shout out to my mate Rizza, who made a couple of songs for the channel. So I used a couple of them in this episode. There's one of the songs, it's got a bit of a Limp Bizkit vibe if you didn't pick up on it, but he also made the intro song for my channel. So that 8-second intro clip, he made that cool, heavy, sort of chuggy riff. So I'm hoping he puts them up on Spotify and I can add them to my Spotify playlist for the channel. If you weren't aware, I made a Shenke Garage playlist on Spotify, so you can just search Shenke Garage, follow my playlist. Just a heap of cool songs that I put together while I'm working on the tonner. Just puts me in a good mood, good vibes while I'm working on the car. If you want to help support the channel, then hit that subscribe button. I noticed only 18% of you are following the channel. So if you do like what I do and want to help support the channel, then hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything and it does help me out a lot. I am chasing that 10,000 subscriber milestone. So I think I'm coming up to about 8,300 now. So chasing that 10,000. So it'd mean a lot if you could help me out. And if you want to help support the channel even further, then you can head over to the Shenke Garage merch store. There's various products, there's t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all that. So I'll put a link in the show notes below. So click on the link, that'll take you to the merch store. Also, if you are new to the channel, I highly recommend checking out the playlist for this HX 1 tonner build. I'll put a card up in this corner, and it's the very first episode all the way to latest, so have a good binge on that. Highly recommend watching the playlist from the very first episode. And yeah, we'll leave it with that. So yeah, we'll see you next time on Shenke Garage. Cheers.